The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Come to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of Be Awesome. Find positivity throughout your life and work. Just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.
Hello, Be Awesome followers, listeners, subscribers, viewers, people that just generally like what we're doing. This is going to be an awkward and uncomfortable discussion. I think it's one that needs to be had, and I'm hoping that people, if just one person gets something out of this with more comfort in an uncomfortable situation, then it was all worth doing. I am going to talk all things colonoscopies. And I have my friend Mark Resnick, who was on a previous episode, who's going to keep me in line online and probably give some insight, because he went through a lot of this journey for my first colonoscopy. I'm just going to share my experience. And the reason being is I'd like to say I'm somewhere between my early 40s, which early 40s start at 45, and my late 40s, which is 49. And so this year, I'll step back. My doctor that I go to, Ian Penn at Trinity in Easton, is lights out, one of the most caring and amazing healthcare providers I've ever had in my life. And he and his team stay on top of me. My schedule is crazy, and I can come up with every excuse as to why I don't take care of getting a yearly physical on time. And since I've gone over there about 5 years ago, they hound me, like literally every year. If I don't have an appointment made for my physical, they're calling me. And I went there, my first time was around my 45th birthday. And my first time going, they said, hey, the guidance right now is 50 for a colonoscopy. Right. This is a big fear for all. I think it's a big fear for men and women, but men, the stigmas around colonoscopies, when we hit that age that it's possible, we're like, oh God, I hope he doesn't ask me. I hope he doesn't ask me. Does colon cancer or prostate cancer run in the family? No. Okay. Well, thank God I bought another couple of years to not have this procedure done. That is probably the number one preventive procedure. There's two things you don't want to die from: colon cancer, prostate cancer, because found early enough, it's treatable, curable, it's gone, right? Right on. So, but we have this stigma where we're like, I don't want to do this. And I did. And so when I went in for 45, I'm like, they're going to tell me I need to get a colonoscopy, and I don't want to get it. I'm going to come up with reasons, and I'm going to go on trips, and I'm going to forget about all this stuff, and we're not going to do it. And I'm going to wait till I'm 50.
Well, let me just ask you this. Why? Why did you want to get one?
Think about it.
Is it just just thinking about it is enough to set you off?
It's the idea of it's the idea of not knowing. It's the idea of being naked with somebody seeing something that people don't typically see. It's the idea of what people have said about what the pre-game is and what it is like, which in my experience, it wasn't anything like what my brain was telling me. It was purely all in, it was like getting a root canal. My whole life, and it's not quite like a root canal because it's actually worse.
Root canal is worse.
A root canal is way worse than a colonoscopy.
I think so too.
But it's still not bad. So This is like, you spend all these years in your life where something painful happens and someone's like, oh, I'd rather get a root canal. You've never had a root canal. All you assign yourself to a root canal is that it's painful. I got my first root canal last October. I was in the seat. First of all, the person that was doing the procedure, he was awesome. He knew I was nervous, lighten the load, Novocaine me up. He was 2/3 of the way done with it and realized he couldn't do it because the tooth was too far gone. And I'm like, I just want to finish this thing because it wasn't that bad, right?
Yeah.
My mind, it was awful. And I wanted to get to the finish line so that I knew it wasn't that bad. And so with the colonoscopy, it's just, I've heard for years. And not only that, like my dad got his first colonoscopy when I was like 25. Way different scenario and situation back then.
Oh, God, yeah.
So like, hearing those stories in my 20s, I wasn't looking forward to in my 40s. And so it was definitely one of those things that, and I didn't know the importance of it, right? I didn't know how doing it and getting it and finding something could make a huge difference in the outcome, right?
Yeah.
And so I went in on 45, guidance was 50, sweet, got 5 years before I have to start sweating bullets at the idea of going through this process and getting this unbelievably uncomfortable experience. Went to get my physical this summer, end of July. I see Ian, and he's going through all the things that I'm doing well. Not a long list, but all the things I'm not doing well, things I need to work on. And, I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, I got 2 more years because he said 50. And I'm, mentally, I know what I'm going to, as you start getting older, you know what you need to think about and what you don't need to think about. And so we're wrapping up. He goes, okay, just so you know, they changed the guidance from 50 to 45 and you're over 45. So you're behind the schedule on it. And I'm like, huh. Okay. And he said this to me. He said, there's 2 things you don't want to die from. We don't want to die at all, right? We're all going to die, but there's 2 things that you really don't want to die from. It's colon cancer or prostate cancer because if they can find it early enough, they can treat it. And I'm like, so you're telling me I should get a colonoscopy? And he's like, that's the guidance. And I'm like, just tell me I need to do it. I'll go. And so from that moment, like anxiety, nerves, uncertainty, all this stuff happened. The realization. And I said, well, what's next? He says, well, someone from the gastroenterologist, whatever, is going to call and schedule the appointment. And so it was like 24 hours. And I'm sitting here going, all right, I'm anxious. I'm nervous.
How do I get out of this?
Yeah. What do I do? Yeah. And I've gotten out of stuff before, right?
Yeah.
I've been too busy.
Right.
I've been way too busy. And it was like 24 hours. And I get a phone call and it says, on the phone, it says gastro, And I'm like, oh no, drop it to voicemail. Like that was my first instinct. And I'm like, something triggered in my brain. I don't know why. Like, I'm going to take this call. So I answer the phone and this woman's on the other end. She's like, hi, I'm looking for Joshua Peach. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And she's like, I'm calling to schedule your colonoscopy.
Was she whispering?
Yeah. And I was like, there's a second that I was like, she's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable.
She confirmed your fears. She's whispering.
Let's be uncomfortable together.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's about time. And she just froze. And I'm like, I have been waiting for this call. How soon can I get in there? Because now it's inevitable, right? I have to do it. It's got to be done. It makes sense. Ian makes all the sense in the world. He cares about my well-being and my health. Why am I putting all this stuff in a WebMD and I look at Facebook and I do searches?
Oh, you're one of those. Okay.
And I did
You go down the rabbit hole.
I did. I did. I went down the bad rabbit hole. I went down the rabbit hole that talks about all the bad stuff that happens when you do that. And so I had all that in my head, and I'm just like, let me just have fun with it at this point. I got to do it, so I might as well have fun. And so she says, excuse me? I says, I have been waiting for your call. I'm so excited for this. Ian told me that I don't want to die from colon cancer or prostate cancer. The only way to find that out is if you guys go ahead and do this procedure, which I am not looking forward to, but I can't wait. So when can you see me? And she stopped. She says, I got to tell you, I've never had a call like this. And I says, well, you should, because you guys are saving lives. And that makes a difference. And I don't know where the hell this all came from. This was just like, this all just hit me. Like I had to remove my anxiety somehow. So I wanted to do it with humor. I also wanted to do it with appreciation because I don't think these people get enough of it. Right? It's a really
it's a thankless
important
job.
thing,
Yeah.
right. And I could come up with all the jokes. Right.
Right.
They deal with a-holes all the time. Like I had a whole shtick. I had a whole comedic act I was going to play throughout this whole thing because I wanted to lighten everything. And so she booked it. I got the appointment and she says, okay, this is important. This is the first important tip for anybody that's getting a colonoscopy.
And she's not whispering anymore.
No, she was actually laughing and having fun.
Yeah.
She was actually enjoying the call. She actually said at the end, I enjoyed this phone call. And I said, I hope you have more. Because I don't think she had many. But she said this one thing that is vital, and I think you'll agree with it, which is there are a couple of different ways for you to do the pre-game, as I like to call it, which is the day to day and a half before going in. There's a couple of different products. There's a couple of different procedures. And following the steps that the doctor sends you is vital.
Yep.
It is absolutely vital. Do not listen to anyone. Do not listen to the internet. And we'll get to part of this because Mark scared the life out of me. They're all different. My procedure required a gallon, which I can drink a gallon sitting here. I've got a gallon worth of water for 2 podcasts. I'll drink it. So that's easy. 2 liters between 4 and 6 was the instructions. 2 liters between 4 and 6 the day before, and then 2 liters 5 hours before. What this does, without getting too graphic, you drink it. You can drink the 2 liters over the course of those 2 hours. I drank it in about 4 seconds. What this particular product does is it causes water to collect in your colon and flush your system out. And it is not as bad. It wasn't as bad for me. And I'll tell about my diet, my last meal before I had to fast for the 24 hours.
Set it up a little bit.
Yeah, so
I can only imagine.
I treated this like the Last Supper. So I literally, the night before, I couldn't eat any more food after midnight on Sunday. And so I went to town and I ordered like 20 pounds of Chinese food.
Oh, you went Chinese
food? Oh, I went Chinese food. I went full on. Oh, dude, chicken fingers, pork fried rice, pad thai, the whole 9. I went ballistic.
That's a good meal.
Well, I didn't really think about it. I didn't think it through, but I'm just like, I did. My anxieties were a couple different things. I do well with it, with the putting me out. Like, I'm not worried about them putting me to sleep and me not waking up.
Yeah,
but does happen. And I figured if that happens, I want to go out happy guy. And I'm a happy guy with Chinese food. So I loaded up. I loaded up like I wasn't going to eat for a month.
Are you going to give a plug to your favorite?
No.
That's a secret.
That's a secret.
You don't want to get.
Yeah, I don't want. It's hard enough. I'm getting.
You don't want to overload the system. Yeah,
I don't want to overload. I don't want to overload the system. But I loaded up on Chinese.
I got it. Okay, continue because I'm wondering if that was a good idea.
So yeah, it was actually in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I'll show you in a lot of ways. So this is the funny thing.
Don't show me. Tell me.
No.
Okay.
So basically, what happens is with this particular product, it literally, because I did research on the product, what it does and how it would react, and then also timing, right? So, I was talking to you before blast off, so it's like the timing of how everything works, and the reality is, yes, when you do the pregame, whatever one you do, you want to be close to a bathroom. You're going to have to go to the bathroom. You're going to go to the bathroom. You're cleansing out your colon. Your colon has to be clean. Everything has to come out. So you take this product. It literally was a couple of hours, and it was funny. It was
2 hours.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
What was funny was I called you. Like, so I got the mix together. It tasted like lemon lime. It wasn't bad at all.
It's not good, but it's not gross.
Yeah, people made it sound like you were drinking poison. Like,
no.
It's not bad.
It's like water, but it's thicker.
And you can put crystal light in it. You could do a whole bunch of things. It's not. There's people that can't drink fluids, and there's pills that people can take to do the same result.
Right.
Talk to your doctor. Tell them what your concerns are. Don't sit there and complain about, oh, well, I can't drink, a cup of water. Tell them realistically, like, I can drink, because you did like 10 ounces at a time. Yours was different.
Yes.
Like, you drank 10 ounces every 15 minutes, and why you were freaking out with me, because I drank 2 liters. So I drank 2 liters at 4 o'clock, and I was done with it by like 4:15. And I called Mark, because Mark, I'm going to get open with you. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all.
Your dad had colon cancer, right?
Yes.
So you were a high risk at an earlier age. So you've already had a couple, and you had one a week before.
I was like, it was 1 week.
So I was surveying.
Went through it.
I was surveying the land with you. I'm like, so what'd you do? How'd it go? Da da da. Why does mine say this? And so I called you after I finished my 2 liters, and you're like, hey, it's 4:15. I'm like, yeah, I know, I finished it all. And you're like, you're supposed to drink like 10 ounces every 15 minutes. You just drank 64 ounces in 5. And I'm like, yeah, it said drink between 4 and 6. It's between 4 and 6. And I had to hang up the phone with you and call other people. I called Chris. I called a couple other people. Yeah. I'm like, hey, I'm reading these instructions, and Mark's telling me that I wasn't supposed to do that. Am I okay? I'm like, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. And I was. And so I drank it.
First of all, that's really not Chris's call, by the way.
No.
Whatever you said it perfectly. Whatever the instructions are.
That's what he said. He said
follow them to the T.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what Amy said. That's what two other people said.
Yeah.
Was, did you follow the instructions in the guide? And I said, it says between 4 and 6. No amount, no anything. Follow the instructions.
Perfect.
And he says, if you follow the instructions, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Should is a key word because it could have not been fine. It was just wrong instructions. But I followed the instructions. And so it was probably an hour. It was probably an hour after. Probably an hour after I drank the stuff. I was uncomfortable for about 2 hours, and it wasn't like screaming pain. It wasn't like I had food poisoning. It wasn't like I had too much Chinese food and it wasn't cooked right or anything. It was literally just I'm in the bathroom and I can't leave. That's basically that's how I felt.
Let's just be a little graphic for a second, just to prepare people, because listen, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If you're close to the bathroom,
yeah,
it's not a big deal. And yours is probably better because you probably didn't leave the bathroom that much.
I didn't leave it at all.
It's liquid diarrhea.
Yeah.
It's liquid diarrhea,
yeah.
and it's not painful diarrhea.
Yeah.
You're not going to have stomach cramps. I just want to tell the men and women out there.
Yeah, and literally,
guys, relax.
Yeah, and literally after like the first flush, it's like water. It's literally liquid. It's literally water.
Yeah,
and it isn't bad. Like I say, it was the anxiety and the worry of it, and it was. I probably had 2 hours of I'm not leaving the bathroom just out of uncertainty and hearing stories from other people that made it way worse.
Yeah. And
other people can have a different experience. I'm not even saying that this isn't standard everything. This is my experience. This is your experience.
Yeah.
But I slept like a baby. I slept from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I only got up at 4 a.m. because I wanted to get up early so that I had the 5 hours because I was checking in at 10:30. I wanted to have that full time. Next morning, same exact thing happened. Drank it. Hour later, hour or two, done. It was out. It was.
All right, so let's backtrack for a little bit. Chinese food, no problem.
Chinese food was no problem.
No, not an issue. Second thing is obviously the instructions from the doctor are key. When you wake up, you're not supposed to have. I think you can have no coffee, right?
You can have coffee, but it has to be black. No dairy products, no red dye products. So you can drink. So from midnight the day before, so basically 36 hours before my procedure, 34 hours before my procedure, I can only have water, coffee, Gatorade.
No red Gatorade.
Juice. Nothing with red dye.
Right.
Nothing with red dye. You can drink liquids until midnight the night of your procedure, and then you can't have anything. So I couldn't have anything other than this 2 liters of stuff.
Yeah.
Between midnight on Tuesday and when I was out at 2 p.m. That's hard. That part I will say it's not easy because
the lack of eating,
lack of drinking. You haven't had any food in at that point you hadn't had any food in 24 hours, and now you're cutting off all liquids other than that 2 liters.
I would say that might even be the hardest part is when you stop drinking and eating the night before at midnight.
Yeah. You
wake up and you just want your normal breakfast. You want a cup of coffee. Coffee's fine.
Yeah.
But I'll tell people once you get through that first mid-morning and you feel the stomach pains.
Yep.
And then you're fine.
Right.
If you just drink your water and your tea and your coffee and you're fine.
Yeah. My suggestion on it is get the procedure in the morning.
Oh, I'm going to disagree.
You can. I thought it was great. I thought the morning idea was
I thought the afternoon was fantastic. Let me tell you why.
I just worry about it like being like a plane delay, and mine was delayed. My morning procedure ended up being afternoon anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's unusual, I think.
Well, I think they had a couple of.
First of all, you went to a hospital.
Yeah.
I went to an outpatient clinic.
Yeah.
I think it's probably much more efficient because you're probably at the whim of the hospital in terms of being.
I'll tell you,
schedules and doctors being called away, or
so I got an endoscopy. It's Good Samaritan, and I'll tell you what, the team in the gastro office, from the front desk to the back office, they were amazing in 2020 for my endoscopy, which was the other end.
Yeah.
Going in through the mouth. And they were just amazing. And stuff happens. But I sat in the operating room for almost an hour. They brought me my phone. They're like, hey, do you want to use your phone? Because you're going to be here a while. We had something happen. And I'm not asking what happened, but hey,
no questions.
Go do whatever you got.
Yeah. So let me just quickly. Mine was in the afternoon. Here's why I liked it. First of all, I got to work
Yeah.
You have to do the procedure, the pre-game before in the morning. Once I was done with that, I had a few hours I could work, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't have to take the whole day off.
Mine was
Because when you got back, you weren't working.
So, but this was your second time.
This was my second time.
So your first time, you may have felt a little bit different. Like first time, anxiety. You're riddled. As much fun as I was trying to have, I was like anxious. Like I like to talk, and on the whole ride over, Amy's like, "Do you want me to sing? Do you want to talk? Do you want?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to talk about anything. I just want to get this over with." And she's like, "You're handling this much better than I thought you would." I'm like, "I just want this done. Like I want all of the fear, uncertainty, and what's to come to be over." And so that's why I wanted it in the morning. And it was that much sooner that I could eat, drink, and go back to Chinese food, because I was hoping that somebody had left some of it from the 2 days before. I'd still eat that 2-day-old Chinese food because I was excited.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. I think first time, you might want to get it done. Get it done in the morning. However, after this amazing podcast, after this public service announcement,
people are getting the first time.
We're telling you, relax. It's not that big of a deal. Don't let other people get in your head. You're gonna be fine. So you're right.
So the pregame was not bad. I was supposed to go to the Red Sox game. It was funny on the podcast yesterday. Might be awesome at Facility Management Podcast. I was supposed to go with Paul Anastasi to the Red Sox game.
Night of the colonoscopy?
The night before the colonoscopy.
Oh, the night before.
Yeah. And
you could have done that.
Possibly.
You could have had beers.
But
no,
you can't have beer.
The night before?
Yeah, you can't have beer. Can't have any. No alcohol.
Whoa. Then no, I'm talking about the night before you fast. I mean,
no. This was the night before I was going in. This was less than 24 hours before I was going in.
Oh, yeah.
No,
right.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
The night you're doing the pregame.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. So pregame's done. Anxiety. Driving to the hospital, and get in, and I walk in, and there's this room full of people, and we're all getting the same.
No, really.
We're all getting the same thing, right? Just this waiting room full of people, and I'm like,
I don't like that.
Oh boy, all these people know what I'm coming here for, and they all know what they're here for. Like we're all here for the same thing, and there was a person at the desk checking in, and there was a piece of paper that said, sign in with your time and everything else. And the gentleman that was behind doing the check-in, I said, I just put my name here, and he goes, yeah, put 10:20. I had to be there 10:30. It was put 10:28, and it was 10:25. I wrote 10:25 because I was like, I want to show that was 5 minutes early, not 2 minutes early. In case there's other people that try to cut in front of me,
cut you,
want, more aggressively want to get in there. And so he calls me up a few minutes later, and literally it was amazing. And this is the power of a simple action. This gentleman probably sees people uncomfortable every day, and the person that was in front of me was not. They weren't handling. They weren't embracing the energy, and I think he knew like that I needed someone to say everything's gonna be okay, and I got you. And it was so simple. He fist pumped me.
That's nice.
He's like, "Hey, great to see you," and fist pumped me, and I'm like, I said, I can't remember what I said. Oh, he said, I'm born the same month you are. And I'm like, well, we got to stick together. I said, we're the cream of the crop. And we started having this dialogue. Now all these people are in here, and they can hear us, and we're laughing and just joking back and forth. And I'm sitting here going, I'm about to go in and get the most uncomfortable thing that I can think of in my life done. And we're laughing about our birthdays and let's make a deal on TV and all this stuff. And we got done, sat down, waiting game. Bring you in, have you wear a reverse Johnny.
Love those.
Yeah. Which you might have to go to the bathroom when you're there. Do it. Just get it out of the way, because I didn't. I sat in the bed, got my uncomfortable reverse open air in the back, gurney on, or Johnny on. Yeah. And then I nerves and everything else, I had to go to the bathroom. So they had to tie me up, and I had the IV in me and all that stuff. And they put an IV in you, which is fine. That's where they put your sleepy time tea. And you just sit there and wait. They tell you what's going to happen. It's funny because there's a lot of people in the waiting area in the back end where you're going to go get the procedure done. And they're just like, hey, look, here's the deal. You're going to go in. And it was like perfect as they described it. we're going to put an IV in you. We're going to make you comfortable. We're going to bring you into this room. We're going to give you anesthesia. You're going to go to sleep. It's going to be the best sleep you've had.
That's what they say. Best sleep.
You're going to feel like you slept like forever.
Yeah.
It's really been 25 minutes. And you're going to come to, and you're probably going to be passing gas. A lot of it. And that's okay because it's just air. We have to put air and water in your colon to do this procedure. And when we're done, we get the water out. We can't get the air out. So you're going to get it out. So don't be alarmed or surprised. And what was funny was the nurse had said it, and I'm like, I'm not the guy that's blasting farts in the grocery store just for jokes and stuff. So I'm like uncomfortable about that stuff, right?
Yeah,
so I'm like, oh my God, these people that I don't know are gonna hear me break and wind and all this other stuff. And the nurse just looks at me. She goes, "We all do it." And I was like, "That's right, we do all do it." And she's like, "Don't be embarrassed. Don't worry. Everybody does it. You're fine. So don't hold it in because that's going to cause you."
They want you to.
They want you
to pass
right,
gas,
and they need you to, and otherwise you're going to have incredible stomach pains. So now I'm like, all right, let's get on with this, right? And so, they put the IV in, and I'm sitting there, and the anesthesiologist comes over, and he's a nice guy, and they give you the description of like, hey, this is the risks, and this is that. You got to sign off that you're accepting what limited risk there is. I sign my name. I'm like, man, I sign like a child, like a signature. He's like, look at mine. And I'm like, oh my God, we could be like stepbrothers. And so he looks at me, he smiles, and I just go, you want to go do karate in the garage after this? And he's like, yup. And that's a line from Step Brothers. And now the anesthesiologist and I, we're cutting up. We're having, we're talking lines from movies, and we're just having a good old time. And they give you these warm blankets.
Yeah.
Did they give you the warm blankets?
Yes, I got a warm blanket.
Oh, warm blankets. I'd go back just for the warm blanket.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how they did it. And they got this hot box.
Right.
Warm blankets. They
forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. It's
the best part.
I just about fell asleep. They didn't need anesthesia. I just put a warm blanket on me, and I'm good. So they wheel you in to this room, and I'll go past my waiting game and everything else, get right to it. They had an anesthesiologist. They had a support anesthesiologist. They had a nurse. There was a gentleman that wrestled me around probably when I was asleep.
Probably. But
wrestled me around to put me into position for all of this stuff. And then there was Doctor Who. Doctor Who was great. He came in. This is like really, like when they do it, it's all
business.
All business.
It's like factory.
Yeah.
Doom.
You go in, and it's a camera with a probe that they stick in the backside, take it up, and then examine everything. If they find anything, they cut it or burn it, and then you come to.
They actually can tattoo part of your colon surgically to mark where they remove stuff.
I thought you were just telling me a joke. I was like, do I have tattoos on my colon? Because I said I don't have any tattoos.
It's the only. We should use that.
Yeah,
I have a tattoo.
I have a tattoo.
Yeah, now we have tattoos
on my colon. Yeah.
No.
So they're just like, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it. You've got the IV in. They roll you on your side. It's all like you're not sitting there naked. You're not fully exposed. I don't even know that they actually see anything because they're, for me anyway, they were incredibly like sensitive to how I might feel about having a room full of people looking at my bare backside with this thing going up. So they had a towel over. The 3 people were on one side that couldn't see anything, and then it was a doctor and the.
It's very quick. They're very efficient.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. They put the anesthesia in my arm, the whatever it does to put me out. I just remember I started to feel the tingle because you just feel this warmth and this tingle in your body. It starts because they put it in my arm. It started in my shoulder and then went through my whole body. And I'm like, I just said, I remember saying this. I was like, I said, I can feel my body tingling, and I know I'm going to go to sleep now. And I just want you all to know we're about to go someplace that I've never gone before, and I want you all to know I love you. And I was out.
Boom.
I was out.
That's great.
Out cold. I don't remember anything. I don't know anything. I'm out. And I come through, and Doctor Who's there. I just put my hand up, and he fist pumps me because I'm like, I made it, right?
Yeah.
And it was it. One of the things that was really cool was the female nurse that was in there. She could tell I was nervous, and she's like, "I've had 2 of these. I know exactly how you feel." She's like, "And the worst is over." Like that was true. It was like the worst is over. And honestly, for me, the whole thing was not that bad. And the anesthesiologist did ask me what my last meal was. Forgot about this. Yes, what my last meal was. I wasn't gonna lie to him. Like Chinese food. He's like, awesome.
Yeah,
I'm like, was it?
Right.
Because part of the reason why I decided to do this podcast was because Maya Bialik, who was the host of Jeopardy, she was Blossom. She actually did an Instagram after I saw it after I got my colonoscopy, where she talked about hers. And she talks about, not eating meat and all the science behind a lot of this stuff. And that's probably true and right. But her experience isn't going to be the same as my experience. It's going to be the same as everyone else's experience. I think that the biggest thing that we have to think about when this happens, that we have to get it or should get it, is it's all about our mindset. Like how we look into these things. Like, again, you probably had the same anxieties I had the first time. And if I want somebody that's going to go in and be like, I look forward for your call to the person that's booking, because it's his or her job.
Yes.
Right. And they're actually doing something really good. And our anxiety and our angst and our upset and our disappointment and our fear shouldn't dictate how we behave to those people that are trying to help us. Like, these people had fun, like with me, and they did their job. Right. And there were people in there that were angry. There was one person that was in there. And this is the one thing I'll tell you. If you don't follow the rules, they know.
They do know.
Yes, these people are getting inside of you.
And they're not happy.
And they are absolutely not happy. And if you go into your appointment and they ask you all these questions and you broke the rules, they're not going to do the procedure, which means you're going to have to do it again. And that means following the rules to a T. Whatever those rules are, follow them to a T. So if it's drink 10 ounces every 15 minutes, drink 10 ounces every 50 minutes. If it's drink 2 liters between 4 and 6, drink 2 liters between 4 and 6. If you have a question about that, call them, because there was one person that was in there that was not happy. And it was because they didn't follow rules.
Right.
They were found out that they didn't follow rules. And they're like, we're going to have to reschedule you. And then you have to go through the whole process again. This isn't like I kind of did it. You have to. Yeah.
That almost happened to me, because I actually I think I had a half a bagel the morning of the prep.
Oh, you caught it.
And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to eat. So I called them, and they made me call the doctor's office, and they cleared me. But if you don't follow the rules, you're gonna have to do it again.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say, I will share this. They found stuff with me. They found a large polyp that they burned off, and then they found 2 others that they removed for testing. And I will tell you that the 9 days that pathology had to go and do the test results and do all that stuff was some of the scariest 9 days that I've ever had. It was also some of the most self-reflecting 9 days that I ever had, because I thought about my mindset before and said, what if this is something? And I just said, I thought it was 50 and I waited 2 more years. What if it was cancer that was in there? Now, thankfully, there's no cancer. It was just polyps. And now I have the luxury of going every 3 years to have comedy hour at my expense. But what if I, because of my discomfort, I said, I'll wait till I'm 50. And then I've got something going on inside of me that's 2 years further along.
Right.
That's the difference between stage 1 and stage 4, maybe. That's the difference between whatever that stuff is. So I had a ton of self-reflection and appreciation and gratitude. Like, I'm eternally grateful to Ian Penn. Regardless of the outcome, I was eternally grateful.
I think every doctor should be like Ian.
Yeah.
There should never be, every doctor should say, there's 2 things you don't want to die from. 2 types of cancer. Mm-hmm. That's all you need to say.
Yeah.
And if you're the patient and you say, yeah, I'm good, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of
stupid.
It's on you.
Yeah. It's stupid. Like,
stupid.
If someone says to you, we can potentially extend your life by decades if we find this early enough, and we just need to make you uncomfortable for 24 hours. I'll take decades over 24 hours any day. Yeah. And there are people, so this is the other reason why I decided to do this. I have, because of my age group, I have a lot of friends that are in this age range where when they were 45, the guidance was 50, and it's gone back to 45, and they're saying, I'll wait till I'm 50.
Right.
or I don't have these cancers running in my family. There's lots of people that don't have those cancers running in their family that they can get it. And
so let's kind of backtrack, sum up a little bit here. So you and I are so different. I the first time, I was actually very excited to get one.
Yeah.
I wanted a clean colon. I was like, this is great. They're going to flush me out. I'm going to get all the crap, all the Chinese food out of my system. I'm going to be fresh.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was number one. Number two, the second time was so much better.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there was no anxiety.
Yeah.
And number three is, unlike you, and this is only because of my dad, his whole experience with Alzheimer's and passing, I don't first of all, I don't go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law would be down the rabbit hole forever. I don't even go to WebMD. I don't do any of that. Don't go down the rabbit hole. It's a waste of time.
Yes.
And number two, I never thought, what if?
Yeah.
And that's how we're so different. Like, I'm like, you know what?
I don't.
I'm just, it is what it is. I did my thing. I got my colonoscopy. I'm not going to stress for test results. I'm just going to, and that I'm a little bit different. I understand that.
I don't typically do that. Well, maybe I do.
You do.
I don't think, well.
You're a worry.
I do worry.
Yeah.
I do worry. And I think I worry.
And you do go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I guess stop doing that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Rabbit
you probably do that with everything.
No, not everything, but a lot of things. Yeah. A lot of things I shouldn't. Like, well, the unknowns. Like, I'm someone, I'm a control freak.
Yes.
Like, you can't get in a car with me where I'm not driving. Like, and it's not that I don't trust your driving. It's just that I like my driving more. And I need to, and I need to know where we're going. And I have, all the directions in my head. Like, I have to have.
Yeah. Well, you're out of control with this, of course.
Well, my house, my life from the outside looks so out of control and so, everywhere. And it is. So I have to have, everything in my head of, this is how it's going to go. This is what's going to go on. And so I do homework. It's hard to believe I didn't do homework in high school, but I do homework now more than I ever had. And a lot of that homework goes into places but that's part of this problem with learning about, you can get the medical descriptions and everything else, which is, it's not comfortable. Like, when you look at it, it's doctor stuff and smart stuff. And it's this is what's going to happen. And then all you find online when you do searches, or your friends put something on Facebook, or you put something out there, it's like, this is the worst thing ever. I was so uncomfortable. I felt terrible. I bled. I did this. I did that. I heard so many. Yeah. And then I heard people telling me what I should do for the prep opposed to what the doctor should do for the prep, because the doctor's prep. I'm like, the doctor went to school and did all this, spent all this money to be smarter than me. I'm going to let them be smarter than me and tell me what to do. I'm not going to do, other stuff. And so there was really no place for me to go that made me feel comfortable. A few people that have been down the road, that was excited for the first time,
Okay, but you said, I just want to be clear. You did say it's one of the most uncomfortable things, and I think you meant the anticipation.
The anticipation.
There's nothing.
Oh, there's nothing. No.
I mean, the prep isn't comfortable, but it's not.
No,
it's not hugely. You know
if
what I mean?
I was a runner, I could have gone for a run within 2 hours. I was working, so the procedure was supposed to be done, I think, at 11. The procedure was done at almost 1. I think I left at 1:30. I was on a conference call at 1:45.
Which they say, by the way, you shouldn't do.
Conference calls?
They say after you leave, you should take at least 4 or 5 hours. And I'm not a doctor, but because the anesthesia can have funny effects on people.
Oh, yeah.
My person said, you probably don't want to work the rest of the day because you might say something you didn't think you were going to say because of the anesthesia. You know what I mean? Or you might say something you might not remember it because the anesthesia.
Yeah, I don't remember anything. But I had witnesses, and nobody said I'd said anything that was. And I say ridiculous stuff anyway, so it's like.
Thanks for that huge order you gave me.
Yeah.
That was amazing. 10,000 t-shirts.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
No, I do.
Oh, okay, good.
I got the bill in front of me.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure.
No, but I mean, I had Amy drove me home.
Which is a requirement, by the way.
Yeah. And Uber doesn't count.
They don't let
Uber
you
doesn't
leave
count.
unless
You need to have someone that signs you in or signs you out.
Right.
And
so you cannot drive yourself to or from, anyhow.
Yeah, that was probably my biggest memory of anxiety and discomfort was I picked my dad up from a colonoscopy in one of our water trucks. So my dad and I owned a spring water delivery business, and we had big bouncy diesel trucks. And my dad was he's just like a guy's guy. Like, he's just like, nothing hurts him, nothing bothers him, nothing, whatever. And so I was out doing my route. He's like, you got to pick me up. I got to get this damn colonoscopy. And he complained about it. And it was in one of those in and out places. And, he was blah, 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 blah. And he got in the truck. He couldn't get in the truck because the truck was
it's high.
high up. And it was 20 plus years ago. The procedure was done differently.
Yeah.
And I was driving him home and he's like, Jesus, you got to hit every bump. God, you know it. And he was like, because he was in discomfort.
Yes.
Right. And so that was my mental experience, direct mental experience that I had. And like, I was driving home and I wasn't in a diesel water truck, but there's a lot of bumps and potholes in Massachusetts. And Amy was hitting most of them, and it didn't, like,
fine.
I was
fine.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So it's not what it was 20 years ago. And it's not what a lot of people say it is. And it can be difficult, and it can be, and it's all based on your body. It's all based on how your body takes to the whatever solution you have to take.
Correct.
It all has to do with, you could have an advanced problem internally that I don't have. Everybody's going to be different, but what I will say from my experience and from your experience and from Maya Bialek, who like I say, she's the host of Jeopardy and she's a longtime actress. Look her up on Instagram. She does her post colonoscopy experience, and it was very similar. And you shouldn't worry about it. You should absolutely take doctor's guidance, take guidance of what they're saying, look at what's going on with some of these diseases, and if you can prevent it, or get it taken care of, do it. Because I'd rather people be here for a couple decades than a couple of years.
Amen, bro.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. I don't know if I made sense in all this. I had fun. I feel bad.
The conversation flowed, Josh.
Yeah,
I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I feel bad in hindsight. I feel like I need to give some props to Chengdu in Mansfield, because that's my spot.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
it's out.
So
the
now the secret's out.
In
Now I'm not going
Mansfield?
to tell you when I order Chinese food, because I don't need a line out the door. They right downtown Mansfield, Main Street, Chengdu. Doesn't matter how much you order. A bag always weighs at least 10 pounds. I mean, they stack and pack. They do.
Okay.
It's amazing.
The secret's
it's like
out.
fresh. Yeah. Chengdu. I do a lot of Chinese food. I do a lot of sushi. I do a lot of stuff that people probably tell you not to do, but
Yeah.
I just love it. And we do it, more than just New Year's. So when I was given the option, Amy said, "What do you want?" I was like, "Chinese food, Chengdu, load it up."
I love it. I love it.
But there was a suggestion that I'll probably do for the next one, which is right down the street, which is Juice on Main. I saw a couple of people that posted things that said a juicing diet for like leading up 3 or 4 days could leave.
That's not fun. Why?
I've done
Why?
it. It's not bad. It's not as bad as you think, and they're free cold pressed juices.
So it's a liquid diet.
It's a liquid diet
Yeah.
with just loads of produce in it.
Yeah.
I've done it. It's like a cleanse, but there's been a couple people. I haven't done it. I'm gonna look into it for the next one. But
Okay.
honestly, it wasn't bad.
That's
Yeah.
my colonoscopy. Every 5 years, I'm getting a cleanse.
I'm at 3, so I got you beat. So I'm gonna have.
No, I'm 3 now. But yeah. They say 5. Like
We're gonna be synced up. So maybe
Colleen's 5.
So maybe we'll discuss whether we should do hospital or in an outpatient, or maybe we'll alternate and we'll see which one's better.
Did
We'll
you have a
just sync
choice?
up.
Because I don't know within my network. They just said this is where you're gonna go. I had a choice of locations, but they didn't say you want to go to a hospital. Or do you want to go to an outpatient?
I don't remember.
The bottom line is the people who actually have anything to do with your colonoscopy are amazing.
Oh,
They're so well trained. They know exactly what you're going through.
yeah.
They do this all day long. They're
Yeah.
so polite and friendly. It's not like you're going to, I don't want to say a bad supermarket and you just have
Yeah.
the bags. But these people are pleasant.
Yeah.
They know what to do.
And I got to say, everybody in healthcare, and it was before COVID, but since COVID, my experiences in healthcare, it's hands down one of the most stressful situations. And I'm just amazed at the work that they do and how they handle themselves under pressure, and just the positivity and the outlook. And they're understaffed. Like, there's so many of those people have gotten burned out, and understandably. I mean, people before COVID were using emergency rooms as primary care providers. And now, you have the influx of COVID cases. You have a lot of other crazy viruses and disease and other things. And then you couple that with, people not having primary care providers that anytime something goes wrong, they're going to emergency room. I mean, you're talking 12, 14 hours of wait time. And when I've had to go a handful of times to an emergency room, the poise and the professionalism of everyone across the board is just downright phenomenal, amazing. And Good Sam in Brockton, a lot of people give it, or complain about it. Let me tell you something. Pulled up, free valet. Thought I was going out to a nice dinner. Right? The valet says, "Oh, I've always wanted one of these cars. I'm going to take it for a drive." I'm like, "Have at it. You got a couple hours, but free valet." Honeydew Donuts right inside the lobby. The lobby attendants that direct you, phenomenal, rock stars. Everybody in there that I've ever dealt with has been nothing short of exemplary, and I'm just grateful. Like you say, I'm grateful for the work that they do. And this isn't like going into a locker room where nobody's ever seen or done anything like this. Like you say, they've got a ton of training. So even if somebody's on their first day, they know what they're doing, they know what they're seeing, they know what they're getting themselves into. They're like, they're not like, "Oh God, I can't believe I'm going to do this." This is what they do every single day.
Yeah, and listen, Josh, you're not, no offense, but you're not one of those guys who likes doctors or dentists. You put it off as, if Josh can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. No, you're right. I put the root canal story before we go. That was, I broke a tooth in February and I didn't go to the dentist until November.
Yeah, because that's insane. Nobody does that except for you.
Yeah, well, I mean,
no, people do it. People do it, but it's not healthy.
I didn't realize that the pain of my broken tooth was greater than the pain of I had the tooth.
Oh, well, that's the point, right?
Yeah. I had the tooth removed ultimately, which that's a traumatic event. That could be a whole nother episode.
I think we've traumatized the audience enough.
Yeah. But the most important thing, even in these, I'll leave with this. Something I learned, I worked with Halverson Orthodontics. They're one of my, I guess we can call them one of my clients. I just love the team there. I think that what they're doing is amazing. My son had to get braces, and I went in and Mark Halverson, the owner, said, "Hey, you do all this, talks and trainings and all this stuff. Would you work with my team?" And I said, "Absolutely. I don't know anything about orthodontists, and let me look into it." And so I did my normal research for any new industry that I get to work with, and I found that orthodontists actually have the greatest work-life balance of any occupation, which is phenomenal. They also have one of the greatest result that they can measure, which is when someone gets their braces off, they start smiling more, right? And they smile and they put the picture on. I'm like, wow, this is great. But what I then followed up with research on was, why are dentists the second highest suicide rate occupation next to now veterinarians? They used to be first. And so I started doing some homework and research on it. And one of the reasons that that dentists were having the struggle that they've done the research and looking at was that it's a thankless job and that nobody looks forward to seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got my tooth removed and when I had my colonoscopy, which it's probably in a similar state of discomfort and everything else, and thinking about ourselves and not others, we fail to say thank you. We fail to say, how did we do? How did you do? Or any of that stuff. And when I had my tooth removed, I got done, and the dentist and the dental assistant like, "Hey, you're all set." I said, "How did I do?" And they said, "What?" I said, "How did I do?" Was I a good patient? And they were like, "Oh, you were great." And I said, "Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you." And they're like, "You appreciate us removing a tooth?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I did the same thing with these guys. I said, I look forward to seeing you in 3 years. Thank you for what you did today.
It's not hard to do.
It's not hard to do.
Put a smile on their face.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Get them to keep wanting to come to work every day and doing the stuff that they do. And you know what? It's going to stink, and I'm going to have anxiety, and I'm sure I'm going to WebMD something again. But every one of these experiences, I get something out of it where I go, all right, let's not do this. Let's do it a little bit differently next time. And so, hey, I appreciate you sitting in with me on this uncomfortable thing. I hope that our audience, if I lost listeners, that's going to stink. But if I get one good listener that says, hey, I'm going in to get a colonoscopy. I was wildly nervous and anxiety ridden. I went to Chengdu and got Chinese food, and I had a good time, and I followed all the doctor's orders, and it wasn't quite the experience you had, but it wasn't as bad as the experience I thought I'd have.
Right.
Then this made it all worth it. And maybe we'll do a follow-up in 3 years and see if the number two colonoscopy is as smooth as the number one. I hope it is.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
Yeah,
you're gonna love it. That's my promise.
So, hey, listen, this has been great, Mark. I appreciate you've spent the morning with me. We did another episode already about your book, and excited to see both of these released. So, keep up the great work, and thanks for always being by my side, even on these crazy ideas. So,
thank you, Josh. Appreciate you, man.
That will do this episode of my first colonoscopy. I hope I never give another episode like this, but I'm willing to do it if it makes a difference in just one listener's life, and they think a little bit differently. And if you are at that age, 45 to 50, and you're in that swing time of when guidance was 45 to 50 and your doctor says it's a good idea, just go do it. Get it out of the way. Get it done. It's a day out, and you're back to yourself. So we love 5-star rating and reviews. We may not get them for this episode, but I hope we do. So if we've earned it, please give it. And if we haven't, please send me an email, josh@beawesome.com, and tell me why and what I can do better. And I'll work at that and see how we can earn your 5-star rating and review. Please share it with your audience. Follow us on social media, and look forward. I'm back on the road. Been home for a week or two. We've got a lot of places to go. Going to go as far away as Alaska, and as close to home as Worcester. So everywhere in between in the next 3 months to close out an awesome year, and it's because of you. So if you can be anything, be awesome. Have a great day.
Coming to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of Be Awesome. Find positivity throughout your life and work. Just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.